Hello everyone, I'm Punakirti BL. Welcome to LangChain tutorial from Python to GenAI. In this series, we will learn how to move from Python fundamentals to building real-world generative AI applications using LangChain. We will explore key concepts like agents, chains, memory, and model integration. Everything you need to start building intelligent AI systems step by step. So let's dive in and start today's session. Today's topic is understanding JSON text splitting in LangChain, master JSON split for AI models. So let's start with introduction. When working with large JSON files such as API responses, it's often not practical to feed the entire content directly into language model. These files can contain deeply nested structures or large amounts of text that exceed the model's input size limit. To handle this, we use a JSON text splitter, a tool that helps break down large JSON data into smaller, manageable chunks while preserving its logical structure. In this session, we will learn why JSON splitting is needed, how the JSON splitter works, how to implement it step by step using LangChain, different ways to view and process the split output. Let's start with first point. Why do we need split JSON? Why do we need to split JSON data? When an API returns a JSON response, it can include multiple lengths of nested data. For example, user details, product information, or transaction history all packed together. If you try to send this whole data block to an LLM, it might exceed the token limit or make the model inefficient. So, splitting the JSON into smaller, meaningful parts allows easier processing by the model, better semantic understanding of smaller sections, flexibility to handle deeply nested data. So, next point is how JSON splitting works. A JSON splitter traverses the data depth first, meaning it explores inner objects first and then divides them into smaller chunks. It tries to keep each nested JSON object intact, but if any object becomes too large, it splits it further to maintain the size limit. Here is what happens behind the scenes. Each chunk size is controlled by maximum character limit, for example 300 characters. The splitter measures chunk size based on characters, not tokens. If a JSON field contains a very long string value, the string itself is not split by default. If you need strict control over size, you can combine this with a recursive character splitter which ensures chunks stay within your limits. Let's example, imagine a JSON object representing a book library. This is library, books. This JSON contains library. Then inside that books and inside the books we have two titles and author. The splitter will first consider library as one section. Then break the books list into smaller chunks if needed. So next point is implementing JSON splitting in Python. Let's walk through how to do this practically. Import required libraries. This is the first step. So we will use request to fetch JSON data from an API. JSON to handle JSON objects. LangChain's recursive JSON splitter for chunking the data. So let's go to my code and I'm creating a new file. Then I'm saving it as JSON splitter demo. Once it is done, let's import all the code. This is my code. So we are importing all the requests. First request is for how handling API calls, JSON to handle the JSON objects, and LangChain text splitter to split the JSON. Then we need to get the JSON data from the API. Let's see what is the response of this API by hitting it in browser. I'm hitting in the browser. So you're able to see this is the response. It's a huge response. So what we are doing, we are just taking this URL and go to my code. So this one is taking the URL, then response is equal to request dot get URL. It will get the URL from get the API call and hit the URL and get the response. After getting the response, I converted into JSON let's print the JSON data. So what I'm doing, I'm clearing this one. Then what I will do, Python JSON Splitter dot demo. So it will call the API and sorry, we didn't save that one. So let's save and run. Now it will call and print the JSON data. Now we were able to see it's a huge data we got. Next, what we will do, we will initialize the splitter. So this is JSON splitter is equal to, this is recursive JSON splitter with max chunk size 300. So we set up the splitter and specify our maximum chunk size. Next step is this one. Once the chunk size is ready, JSON splitter is ready, let's have now JSON chunks split into JSON data. So JSON chunks contains a list of smaller JSON pieces that can be individually processed, fed into an LLM. So this is JSON chunks. So what we are doing, we recursive splitter is loaded, initialized. Then what we did, so JSON chunks is ready. Now what we are doing, we are printing total chunks created. This we are printing. Then what we are going to do, we are going to print first three chunks. So chunk, this is JSON chunks. From chunks, first three chunks we are getting from all the chunks. So how to do? So what I will do, I will print this one empty one to get clarity. So JSON data is huge one. So I will comment this. Then see how these chunks looks like. This is the way we can get the divided checks. So we have first three checks: OpenAI, OpenAPI, info, pass. We got three chunks. Now JSON checks got this. Now this prints the first three chunks showing key value pairs or nested sections neatly separated. We got right. Once it is done, let's converting JSON chunks into documents. Sometimes instead of JSON objects, we may want each chunk represent as a document for tasks like embedding or retrieval. So what we are doing, let's convert this chunks we know. If you don't want these chunks, let's convert this into documents. How to do? See, JSON splitter dot create documents. Text is equal to, you are able to see JSON data as an list I'm passing. Okay, that is what the input we are getting. So let's print to understand. We are converting that into document. First three chunks we can convert into first three docs. So we convert into document. First three documents only we are printing. So first three chunks, then first three documents. Now we're able to see first three chunks we did. Now we have page content, open API, same thing. Chunks if you want to convert chunks, we can convert. Otherwise, this JSON data is converted into objects, that is documents. So here each document contains a segment of your JSON data formatted for easier downstream processing. So next one is, if you don't want the JSON or document structure and just need raw text chunks, you can use JSON splitter dot split text and we can get this data. So what I will do, print just converting this JSON data into different text, split text. So you can see how the texts are printed, so how they handled. So you can print empty one. So then we will have this data. Let's clear, then run. So we converted into documents, we converted into chunks. Next we need, see, split text. This is the normal OpenAI. First one is as a normal text, info is the second one. If you want third one, the third one will be printed as however pass. Okay, that we can see. So these outputs readable text from each chunk, handy for quick previews or text-based analysis. So what is the practical use case? Imagine you are analyzing customer reviews fetched from an API. Each review contains fields like name, date, rating, and comments. If there are thousands of reviews, the JSON response will be huge. By using the recursive JSON splitter, you can break the data into smaller sets. For example, 10-20 review per chunk. Process each chunk independently. Embed and store them in vector database for semantic search or summarization. This is the practical use. Let's wrap up and recap. In this lesson, we learned how to handle large JSON data efficiently using a recursive JSON splitter of LangChain. We covered why splitting is essential for large API responses, how the splitter works, depth first traversal, and size control, how to implement it in Python using LangChain, different output formats like JSON chunks, documents, and plain text. By mastering JSON splitting, you can prepare complex data structures for LLMs without losing context or exceeding input limits. So, thanks for watching today's session. I am Punyakirti BL. This was part of LangChain Bootcamp from Python to GenAI. If you found it helpful, please subscribe to my channel for more lessons on building with LangChain and Generative AI. Also, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. You will find the link in the description. See you in the next session. Thank you very much.